Amid several ongoing sexual misconduct lawsuits and a reported federal investigation, embroiled music hitmaker Sean Diddy Combs seemingly has no care in the world. But his recent summer activities have peeved his accusers, as their lawyers are slamming Combs as they send an ominous message more could lie ahead for the rapper and producer.
It feels to me like he's trying to portray this feeling of nonchalance because he doesn't want people to think that he's nervous. Perhaps he thinks it's going to make him look better, make him look innocent if he doesn't appear to be concerned. But to those people who don't believe him anyway, that just comes across as uncaring and arrogant.
Since swimming in the ongoing lawsuits and with his public reputation taking a huge blow since, recent photos of the mogul show him white water rafting in Wyoming, showing off his private jet, as well as biking around South Beach, Florida. And the moves haven't been sitting well with his alleged victims. Combs faces a mountain of sexual misconduct lawsuits, 10 that have been filed since last November. Most recently, he's been sued by an adult film star who was employed to work at his famous Labor Day white parties. Adria English, who filed her suit on July 3rd of this year, claims she was first employed by Combs in 2004 and was groomed into sex trafficking over time. In her suit, she claims her first year of working at Combs' now infamous party in Miami, there was no sinister intent or requirements for physical sexual contact and seemed like a legitimate employment opportunity. So she came back the following year and the year after. But it would be that third party she worked at that Diddy allegedly demanded she engaged in sexual intercourse with party guests after they learned about her adult entertainment past and forced her into sex work. English claims her memories of some details are hazy due to her consuming lots of alcohol and drugs, but added in her complaint the encounters she was forced to endure were so excruciating she remembers them because they still haunt her to this day. In May of this year, April Lampros filed her lawsuit against Combs, accusing him of battery and sexual assault. She says she met Combs in '94 when she was a student at the Fashion Institute of Technology. Lampros claims Combs promised to mentor her and showered her with gifts. She says she endured 4 terrifying sexual encounters with the producer/rapper up until the 2000s. The first incident allegedly occurred in '95 when Combs took her to a hotel and raped her. Lampros claims months later Combs sent her gifts and flowers, so she decided to give him a second chance. She says the second incident allegedly occurred in a parking lot where Combs forced and demanded her to perform oral sex on him. Then in '96, Lampros claims Combs forced her and his former girlfriend, who happens to be the mother of 4 of his children, to take ecstasy and have sex with each other, where Combs allegedly pleasured himself and then raped Lampros. Lampros says the fourth incident occurred at the end of 2000 when Combs was dating Jennifer Lopez. Years later, at an event in 2023, Lampros claims a man informed the person she was with at the event that he had seen a tape of Lampros having sex with Combs that was filmed without her consent. 2 days prior to Lampros' suit being filed, McKinney also filed a suit against Diddy. She claims she met Diddy at a New York Fashion Week event when she was a 22-year-old model. In the suit, McKinney says Combs told her he would help advance her career. And later that same night, she alleges she met Combs at a studio where he gave her a lace joint, alcohol, then followed her into a bathroom and forced her to perform oral sex on him. After the alleged assault, McKinney believes Combs blackballed her in the modeling industry. She says she's since suffered depression and even attempted suicide. Then there's the Rodney Jones Jr. suit filed in federal court in February of this year that accuses Combs and the people who work with him of being part of an illegal racketeering enterprise. Jones alleges in his complaint Combs reached out to him in 2022 to help him produce songs for his latest album. But Jones claims that the work went far beyond him producing. He claims he was tasked with getting drugs and soliciting sex workers. Jones alleges Combs would often threaten to inflict bodily harm on him if he didn't comply with his demands, and accuses him of sexual harassment and assault for allegedly grabbing him without his consent and forcing him to work while Combs paraded around naked. Then there's the suit filed by a woman under the moniker Jane Doe, which was filed in December of 2023. Doe alleges she was gang raped and sex trafficked by Combs and former Bad Boy Records president Harve Pierre when she was just 17 years old and in the 11th grade. She claims she met Pierre in a Detroit lounge and he told her he was best friends with Combs. Doe says Combs then convinced her to fly on a private jet with Pierre and a third assailant to New York City. She alleges when she was taken to Combs' studio, she was given drugs and alcohol and subsequently gang raped at the studio by Combs, Pierre, and the third assailant. Combs and Pierre have denied the allegations against them. Liza Gardner filed her lawsuit against Combs and R&B singer Aaron Hall in November of 2023, alleging the two forced her to have sex with them against her will when she was 16 years old. She claims she met Combs and Hall at a Jodeci album release event in New York City. Combs allegedly invited Gardner and her friend to Hall's apartment for an after-party, and it was there that Combs coerced her into having sex with him. In the suit, Gardner claims she was getting dressed after. Hall barged into the room, pinned her down, and allegedly forced her to have sex with him. The day after the assault, Gardner alleges that Combs came to her home and began assaulting and choking her to the point she passed out. On the same day Gardner's suit was filed, another suit was filed, this one by Joy Dickerson Neal. In her suit, Dickerson Neal says that she met Combs after she appeared in a music video with him while she was a student at Syracuse University. She claims she agreed to go out to dinner with the rapper and producer in January of '91. During their date, Dickerson Neal alleges that Combs intentionally drugged her, then sexually assaulted her and recorded the assault. She alleges days later a male friend revealed to her that he and other men had viewed the sex tape, which she says from that point her life went into a tailspin, and after returning to college she had to be admitted to the hospital for severe depression and suicidal ideation. With the slew of ongoing lawsuits, criminal defense attorney Serena Townsend explains it's a long way from looking up for the rapper/producer.
I think he's facing a world of trouble, honestly. That's a lot of women who are coming forward. And every time another woman comes forward and is believed, you have that settlement, which kind of gives credence to the complaint. There could be more that come out. People feel very uncomfortable and nervous to come out against their abuser, particularly when their abuser is world famous. And so this mountain of complaints that are coming out against him, I wouldn't be surprised if more come through. And I think that he should be quite concerned, both civilly and criminally.
And then there's the only lawsuit that's been settled, a mere day after it was filed in federal court, that seemingly opened the floodgates. And that's the federal lawsuit filed by Diddy's ex-girlfriend, singer and actress Cassandra Ventura, a.k.a. Cassie. In Cassie's complaint against her ex, she accused Combs of sexual assault, battery, sex trafficking, and requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts. According to her suit, Cassie claimed Combs trapped her in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. One of the brutal beatings was captured in shocking hotel surveillance video obtained by CNN. The incident left her with bruises, burst lips, black eyes, and extensive trauma. And due to Diddy's money and power, he reportedly bought off the footage for $50,000 and hopes to keep his true colors behind closed doors, hidden forever.
This crime that he's accused of committing across many, many years, many, many women, this is, again, just a link in the evidence that they're going to be able to show against him. That not only did the surveillance video show a really gut-wrenching act of violence perpetrated by him, but again, in his statement, he admitted to it, right? He admitted that it was him. He admitted that he felt disgusted by his actions. So he essentially admits to all of that. They're going to be able to use that because part of the elements of sex trafficking requires some sort of coercion, and forcible coercion like abuse can certainly be used to be able to prove that element of the crime.
The music mogul would issue an apology for the brutal assault years later in 2024 when the video was made public.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. Sometimes you got to do that. I was f***ed up. I hit rock bottom. But I make no excuses. My behavior on that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then when I did it. I'm disgusted now. I went and I sought out professional help. I had to go into therapy and go into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry. But I'm committed to be a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. truly sorry.
However, Diddy has since scrubbed the apology from his social media page.
Oh my God. I died a small death as an attorney when I saw that, because you can apologize after a settlement. Sure. I mean, maybe he felt like he was free and clear at that point because the civil case was over. But knowing that there's all these accusers and potentially an indictment coming down criminally that maybe can be tied to the Cassie incident. I mean, even if the incident occurred a long time ago, if there's an ongoing crime that he's occurring, like trafficking, where Cassie is just one link in the full trafficking experience, if you will, or crime, he could be held liable criminally for that. And that can be used as an admission of guilt in that criminal case. I think it was very foolish for him to put something out like that publicly.
But the brutal video would just be one glimpse into Cassie's then life with Diddy, who she was also signed to at the time. According to Cassie's suit, drugs were a consistent part of Combs's life, a point that's been made prevalent in the other suits filed against Combs. After photos surfaced of Diddy seemingly enjoying his summer vacation in Wyoming, Cassie's lawyer Douglas Wigder released a statement to TMZ saying, quote, "I don't think white water rafting will prepare him for the choppy waters that lie ahead."
What a great quote. And it's so true. Listen, a judge and even, people who are watching this are looking for signs of remorse. He's obviously not showing any indication that he's remorseful. And so, yeah, it's a problem. And the choppy waters are coming. When the feds have their claws in you, you can run, but you can't hide.
Adria English, Diddy's most recent accuser's attorney, also weighed in saying, quote, "After seeing defendant Combs white water rafting and jetting around on his personal plane, seemingly enjoying life despite all the atrocities he has caused and has been accused of by countless individuals over decades, Miss English is even more motivated to ensure justice prevails." Townsend says it might have suited the mogul best to lay low.
I mean, my first piece of advice is to stay out of the public and to keep your mouth shut. I understand if he wanted to try to portray this act of nonchalance because he thought that maybe it would be a good look for him. It's not. It's simply not. And guess what? No matter what you do in public, whether you're contrite, whether you apologize, whether you are acting like you did nothing wrong, it's never going to look good no matter what, because there's always going to be people looking and judging you for your actions. You're either not sorry enough or, you're too sorry that it's an admission of guilt. So best thing to do is let your lawyers be your mouthpiece. Let them take the helm. Let them, portray you as they need to portray you, and do not make any more statements in public.
In the midst of the various suits filed against Combs, federal agents raided his home in March as dozens of agents descended upon his Los Angeles and Miami homes. Now, fast forward to July, Diddy is reportedly trying to sell his Los Angeles home, the same one raided by the feds, and reportedly wants $70 million for the mansion. While it's unclear what prompted him to sell the home, multiple reports say Combs is the subject of an ongoing criminal investigation, as a federal grand jury reportedly is hearing evidence about Diddy's alleged crimes and deciding whether there are grounds for an indictment. But Townsend says that indictment could be looming.
I think so, simply because of what we're hearing coming out. It's one thing to hear just rumors. It's another thing to hear, a lot of people talking about what's going on. But once search warrants are executed and we start hearing that a grand jury is impaneled and hearing evidence, you are getting closer and closer to an indictment. I mean, in order for them to have requested and received a search warrant and executed that search warrant, they had to have provided probable cause to a judge, probable cause that a crime did in fact occur. And so that's a real problem. We already know that exists. And we also already know that to indict somebody, you only really need about the level of probable cause. And so if they had enough for the search warrant, they probably have enough for an indictment.
While Combs hasn't been charged criminally, his reputation has taken a huge hit. Many businesses have either distanced themselves from the mogul or cut ties altogether, and his famous friends have also distanced themselves from him. He was dropped by a powerful law firm in New York City. Last month, Combs returned his key to New York City after a request from Mayor Eric Adams. He also returned his honorary degree from Howard University, where the school also removed Combs from all documents and disbanded Combs' scholarship program. Combs also sold off his stake in Revolt, the media company he founded more than a decade ago.
I think that they're just seeing the writing on the wall like the rest of us are, and they're being proactive and smart. These are people who own businesses, and they do not want to be known as somebody who sympathizes with a sex trafficker potentially. Now, sometimes people, look, I'm a criminal defense attorney. People do get accused, even if they do not commit the crime. And it is sad to see the fallout when things like that happen. But on the other hand, I think that these people who own businesses, who have reputations themselves that they would like to maintain, they're looking at this and they're seeing mountains and mountains of potential evidence and accusers. And I think that they're feeling like there's enough there for them to make this decision to cut ties and save themselves, really.
While a lot remains unclear on the fate of Sean Diddy Combs, it has been clear that the days of the flamboyant and jovial personality who hosted celeb-packed events and attended multiple red carpets is over, as his now accusers hope to see him face accountability for his alleged abuse that spanned decades.
People who have to deal with and live with what happened to these women, you don't ever fully get over that trauma. That's just been known and it's been proven. So I don't think they'll ever be made whole, but there are ways for them to seek that justice, of course, civilly, monetarily, and definitely criminally. For them, they probably really want to see accountability on every level. And so I do hope that these women pursue this matter, and kudos to them for being so brave, because once again, it's hard enough to go up against your abuser. But when that abuser has the kind of resources and popularity and wealth as Diddy, you know that you're the David in the David and Goliath equation. So good for them to be, for being this brave. And I do hope that they continue to have that courage and that they get what they deserve in the end. I really do think, and I've said this before, that people in Diddy's position, we've seen other people like him in the entertainment business, very wealthy people, have acted for so long with impunity without, receiving any sort of accountability for their actions. Sometimes that's why they accumulate so many victims, because they know that nothing's going to happen to them. And I'm glad that the tide is turning. I'm glad that women are finding their voices. And I really do want to see what happens here. I hope that the right thing occurs. I hope that if he did do these heinous acts, that he is held accountable. But I also am, proud to say that hopefully this is a sign of the times, that we as a society are holding powerful people accountable for their actions.
Sean Diddy Combs, through his lawyers, have vehemently denied all claims against him. However, all the lawsuits filed against him, with the exception of Cassie Ventura's suit, is still ongoing. Weeks ago, Combs' lawyers filed a motion to dismiss some of the claims in Joy Dickerson-Neal's complaint, as his team called the accusations purely a money grab. But their motion to dismiss at this time is still pending. Reporting for Law&Crime, I'm Elizabeth Millner.